Welcome to Calling Dr. Dream, the Kelly Sullivan Walden Dreamifesting podcast, awakening you to the power of your dreams. In this dream-drenched space where night meets insight, you'll get to eavesdrop on my conversations with the world's leading mind, body, spirit experts. Other episodes are taken straight out of my Dreamifesting live classes. If you want to know more about that, visit dreamifesting-live.com. In every episode, we explore the magical intersection of sleep and awake, spirit and science, and yes, the holy and the guacamole. So grab your journal, light a candle, and get ready to Dreamifest like never before. Because as you are lifted, all are lifted. Hey everyone, I am so excited for the show today. I so often talk about lucid living. I don't talk that much about lucid dreaming. I think that's because that's not really my area of expertise, even though I've had my share of lucid dreams. I love them. I have deep respect for people that can have them just on a dime. And I have two people that I'm going to be talking to today, Norma and Nisha, who are, they're Norma and Nisha Burton. And we're going to talk about their oracle deck that is not a regular oracle deck. It's called Lucid Dreaming, Lucid Living. This is an epic kind of a situation. We're going to do some readings. We're going to talk to them. And let me just tell you a little bit about these amazing women. So Norma Burton is a master of transpersonal psychology, and she's a scholar of world religions, specializing in Buddhist philosophy, Jungian dream work, yay, and trauma healing, awesome, with 9 years of advanced academic degrees and over 30 years of apprenticeship with indigenous elders. Norma brings a rare level of expertise in gathering and guiding the exploration of the subconscious dreamtime. And Nisha Burton is a skilled dream worker, filmmaker, technologist, and digital artist trained in the art of journeying into the deep subconscious from a young age. She weaves the information that she's learned with masters into her own amazing work. So I am so excited to have these two. This is a mother and daughter team. I've been having mother and daughters. I was interviewed by a mother and daughter team, and I think there's something going on in the zeitgeist about mothers and daughters connecting creatively and spiritually. I mean, there's kind of nothing like it. So congratulations to you, trailblazing goddesses. Welcome.
So much. Thanks for having us here. Yeah.
So is Lucid Dreaming, Lucid Living, this Oracle deck, the first project you guys have worked on together?
The first published project, yes, together.
First published. Wow. Well, you didn't start small.
Get some more brewing right now, too.
Brewing, no pun intended. Okay, well, you started off with a bang. This is quite something. So, how did this project come to be, this Oracle deck with this amazing artwork and beautiful writing, and it's instructional, it's inspirational. How did this come to be?
I realized that Nisha was one of the most advanced lucid dreamers I had ever talked to. And here she was sitting in my living room, my daughter. And I said to her, "You've got to communicate this to people because, there's a need for skills in traveling in the realms of consciousness. And you've been doing it for 10 years. And when I listen to your dreams, they're amazing. And I know that other people would like to hear them and see the places that you've been able to journey to. And so you've got a lot to say about it." And another thing was that in this mother-daughter team that we have, she also channels and embodies the teachings that I've been giving all through the years about deep shadow work and working with the regular dream time and trance states. So she's like an advancement on what I've done.
Wow. Wow. So she's like doing what we're supposed to be doing, every generation standing on the shoulders of the ones who went before, not to dishonor them, but to honor them,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I would add to that, having coming from a lineage of dreamers, my mom and her grandma, her mom, so many dreamers in our lineage, and the learnings that I got from a young age, and really not to be discouraged in the dream time. Because I feel like in our culture, there is
Ooh.
this big just putting down of dreams, oh, it was just a dream. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't think about it, rather than how I was so fortunate to be raised of, wow, what was your dream? Let's talk about it. Let's delve into it. Let's learn about these realms of consciousness that we venture into every night. So coming from that, then really getting into lucid dreaming, as my mom said about 10 years ago, and delving into the practices, the daytime practices, as well as the dreamtime practices to have consistent lucid dreams and to take it to those next advanced levels, was so inspiring to me, and such a big journey for me in my development and growth in working with lucid dreaming. And so then, like my mom just said too, the inspiration really came, one, from wanting to share what I had been learning and what I had been experiencing firsthand through my lucid dreams, as well as the collection of everything that I absorbed from reading works like Stephen LaBerge and Tibetan Dream Yoga, all of these different avenues of working with lucid dreaming, wanting to then synthesize that in a way that wasn't out there already. So there's so
Mhm.
many countless books about lucid dreaming, and they are
Right.
wonderful. And I encourage everybody to read as much material on lucid dreaming as possible if you're interested in it. And yet,
Mm.
a lot of times, a common theme when I would talk to people and hear about their own personal lucid dream experiences and trying to maintain and get lucidity in the dreams was that
Right.
they would have maybe one or two spontaneous lucid dreams, or they do the practices a little bit and then have a lucid dream and then fall off
Mhm.
of it and then be
Right.
frustrated that they couldn't continually revisit the practices. And so in creating an oracle deck, that was the inspiration behind it, was to give a non-linear way of learning lucid dreaming, and also one that could be fun, playful, and re-inspiring, because every time you pull a card, you get a new teaching about lucid dreaming. And so then if you're feeling stuck, or if you're having a dry spell in terms of lucid dreaming, pull a
Mm.
card, see what specific inspiration comes for that, and really focusing in on that one practice. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from people that have used the deck now that that's exactly what it's doing, is it's reigniting and continually giving them the next thing to do with lucid dreaming, so they can make it a full practice rather than a one-off thing. And then you don't have lucid dreams ever again.
Oh my God, this is amazing. I have so many questions for you guys. And this is a little bit not so much about lucid dreaming, but I just have to ask this. So, Norma, you raising Nisha with respect for her dreams. This is something I've talked to parents about. People, I mean, it seems like it's a rare thing when a parent is steeped in their own dreams and their own respect for their dreaming, and then can pay that forward to their child. And my curiosity is, okay, A, you've already demonstrated between just like by living your lives that that is an empowering thing to do on so many levels. But there's this piece of like how it's natural for kids at a certain point to rebel against their parents. And it almost seems like it's not as easy to rebel against a parent that is such a fan and so respecting of your dream time and of your like of your dreaming. So how did you guys navigate and like rebellious years? Did you rebel, or were you like, I don't need to rebel? I don't know. How did dream work influence that part of the natural stages of development?
I think every parent is afraid of that when their teen gets to that age that they're going to go in opposite direction,
Yeah.
so, and Nisha, lived out her teen years in a normal way, but um, I think because we were so in tune with each other early on, and she could feel my respect, like you say, for whatever was
Right.
coming up in her. Like I remember when she was 18 months old, just beginning to talk, and she woke up one morning and she was pushing back the sheets and saying, "Where is the hole? Where is the hole?" And I said, what are you talking about, honey? And then I started to realize she was having a shamanic dream of going into an underground hole. And I said, well,
Oh
I'm
God.
sure we could find it. Let's move back the sheets, So we moved back the sheets together. And then she said, well, it went away, but it was here. And I said, well, what did you see in the hole? And she said, well, I went down through it and I saw a tiger. And I said, oh, that's so exciting. I think the tiger might be your power animal. Did the tiger growl with you? And she said, yes. And then we growled together. And so then we started, talking about that she needed the strength of the tiger and when she needed to growl and feel strong. So right from the time she was tiny, like not ignoring or poo-pooing her dreams, but really going into the imaginal realm with her. So when she got to
Oh,
be a teenager, the brain is changing rapidly in the teenage years. And I worked with the Huichol, who's a wonderful tribe in Mexico all through the years. And they do a special thing with their child when they're 13. This is pretty amazing, but they make them agree not to participate in hallucinogenic substances or alcohol or anything through their teenage years so that when they're 19, they can be initiated into the tribe with the adults in a proper way. And so I did that with Nisha. I said, this is an ancient good way to do your teenage years. And would you try this out and agree with this? And so that worked really well so that she was available to her dream time even more as her brain was changing and expanding. And then when she was 19, we did what the Huichol do, and we had a whole big communal ceremony of initiating her into the dream time. So what do you say about that rebellion that could have
yeah,
happened,
yeah,
but
yes.
Good
God, this
question.
is
And
so fascinating.
I would say the only way that I rebelled really was that I was not a nature girl. So I was like, I'm not going to go on hikes. I don't want to go out in nature. But now I love nature. So that was my momentary rebellion. But that was as far as it went. And to my mom's point, too, one aspect of what we teach as well, along with lucid dreaming, is drumming journeys and how that can lead you into a trance state, into the dream time from waking ordinary reality. And so in a way, I'd say before even I started studying lucid dreaming from others, I was studying how to navigate into these lucid realms through my mom's drumming journeys, which I grew up with. And so being initiated in that ancient pathway that humans have had forever, pretty much, understanding how to go from waking reality into a lucid state of consciousness that is not just like you're imagining something, right? It really is like
Right.
taken into this realm where this other consciousness is meeting you and you're interacting with it, and things that you wouldn't imagine happen. So for my teenage years, being trained, and childhood up until teenage years and beyond, being trained in how to navigate in those realms really prepared me and primed me for lucid dreaming and for being able to then take it to that next level of, in the dream time, awakening to the realization that I was dreaming and then understanding how to navigate in it. So to summarize your question, I didn't have a big rebellion because there was so much goodness that it's like, why would you want to rebel against that amazing thing? Only like, oh, I'm not going
Right.
to go on this hike today, but that was my biggest rebellion.
It almost, I'm thinking of, I think it was Robert Johnson who wrote a book called Inner Gold. And the whole idea is that we all come into this world with so much gold that we typically can't hold it for ourselves. So we have to give it to our parents, give it to our teachers, give it to someone else to hold for us until we're strong enough to take it back. So really what the rebellion is about, I'm strong enough to hold my own damn gold, give it to me. And often it's done snarkily, it's not done with respect and kindness. And thank you so much for holding my gold. I think I'm strong enough, let me try holding it myself. So it seems like, Norma, you held Nisha with so much respect that when it was time for Nisha to get her gold, maybe she didn't even have to give up too much of her gold to take back. So my mind is blown just about that, the parent child relationship, and how dreaming can create that pathway of respect and dignity. And I don't know, I'm just kind of seeing a whole world of possibility. And then this ritual of going through your teenage years without substances, that almost feels like, did you really do that? Nisha, don't talk to your mom. She's not listening. Did you really do that?
We talked in my adult life how there might have been some moments, but really, like by and large, the most important thing is not getting lost in those realms, because so many teenagers
Right.
can go really deeply into
Yeah.
hallucinogenics or into the dream realm, right? That is what psychedelics take you into, the dream realm,
Yeah.
but haphazardly, not understanding what
Right.
they're doing, not understanding how to navigate. And I would say even beyond teenage realms, we see with the new psychedelic
Mm.
movement and renaissance, which is great to
Yes.
expand people and have people, you know, understanding these realms. But there's a lot of haphazard use of all of these things, which then can get
Yeah.
people fragmented and lost. And so I think that was the
Right.
core of the agreement, was really about helping me as my brain was developing, not to get lost and just, you know, in these dream realms spun out, but really to understand how to navigate not from the use of psychedelics, but from drumming journeys and from ways that we have
Right.
access to inside of ourselves. And so then when we're initiated in that, we're prepared to really do it wisely and carefully.
So smart, because you're not just saying say ugh to drugs,
Right.
just say no. You're saying say yes to something so cool, like
Hmm.
extraordinary, that you can have. And these are some of the things that you could do in order to have this thing that is your natural birthright. And why would you want to give that up? Oh
Hmm.
my God. And yeah, I'm thinking about, I mean, I'm very, very close to a lot of people, and I've done my own dabbling in psychedelics recently. I mean, not, and it's been really intense for me, but I also am realizing how unnecessary it is when I do this anyway, and I can retrieve it without losing any. It's like I can get the good without having to pay a price. There's no price to be paid. I don't have to give something up in order to get this. So
Yeah.
it just, it's amazing. You were about to say something, Norma. I
Yes,
could feel
I
it.
love what you're saying. And our next book is on psychonavigation skills. And we're comparing
That's going to be huge.
doing it in this way that we have access to from within with drumming induced journeys,
That's great.
comparing that with psychonavigating in the lucid dream state, and then
Yeah.
comparing those with psychonavigating with psychedelic induced journeys. And so, one thing I say about the difference, the slight difference between doing it from within without an added substance, is that when we do journey into the dream time from within, we're not alone there. We do have an other that meets us. If you try
Mm.
to do something in the dream space, you start to realize I can't just do anything. Like I am relating to another presence. It's an I, thou, if you will, like you are relating to a guide, to a consciousness greater than yourself within your own self. So there's already two there. Then when you bring in the psychedelic, it has a consciousness. It's a third.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why in ancient times they would teach people how to navigate first with the two, the I, thou, and
Interesting.
learn how to navigate with the three. So it's important to take it step by step, and to get really good at knowing your own self in relation to your guide, your higher power, and navigate that way.
Oh, God, everything you're saying is so rich. I want to, there's so many places I want to go, but I want us to go into these beautiful lucid dreaming, lucid living cards. So let's do a reading. So for the listener, for the viewer, we're going to pull, how best should we do it? I'm gonna surrender to you all. If we were gonna do something relatively short and sweet, what's one good way to do these?
So I'll give two options. One is if you want to pull a card, then you can pull it and we can talk about it. Or
Okay.
also I could pull two cards and then talk about them, whichever you
Okay,
prefer.
maybe let's do both.
Okay.
So I'll start with one. So I just want people to see how lush this box is. So if you're just listening and you're not viewing, It's kind of like a dark blue box with this woman with a red hooded kind of a hood with a blue face with a moon on her. Oh my God, it's just so like I could just get psychedelic just looking at the box. And it's like gold leaf and so beautiful. So now I'm opening this and it just opens. It's also easy. So I open it and look at this inside. It's like such a rich world inside here. And I'm going to put on my glasses. And this quote in here, it says, I dreamed I was a butterfly flitting around in the sky. Then I awoke. Now I wonder, am I a human who dreamt of being a butterfly? Or am I a butterfly dreaming that I am human? This is from Cheng Tzu. Okay, so pulling out the guidebook, which is massive. This is not an ordinary guidebook. This is rich and thick. And then we pull out the cards, and I love this little red ribbon. Okay, and look at these cards. They're so pretty with the gold on the side. Beautiful images. And Nisha, you created these images?
Yes, I designed the
Oh my
images,
God.
each one, and really they are from elements of my dream time. And the hope and design with it is to evoke the dream time in these cards as you look at them. And once you
Yeah.
get it, everybody that's listening, as you look at them, take time first to just look at when you pull a card, study it yourself and see what it evokes in you, and then read the readings too. And a lot of times I've heard people now say like, wow, there were huge synchronicities even in what I just picked up from the card into my own dreams, as well as then once I read it, I was totally picking up on what was there. So that's the design of them. And it was really fun bringing through these elements of the dream time and
Even
anchoring of an
this,
ordinary reality in the
the
cards.
back of this card is so beautiful. Okay, so the one that fell out of the deck is this
Oh,
one. It's number 40, Mother of Dreaming. This looks like you, Nisha. Is that you?
it's actually a really good friend of mine. Yeah. And that was
Oh,
another
it's
fun part of
beautiful.
designing is I got to bring in my friends, my people into the dream time, into these
Ah,
cards.
oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool. So
Yeah.
I'm looking
So,
up card 40,
mhm. And I can start
and
talking as you're pulling it up
yeah,
too.
please, please.
Um, so that one is called The Mother of Dreaming. And you'll notice, and for anybody that doesn't have the deck and is just listening, there's two elements to every card in the reading. One is the lucid dreaming teaching, and then the other one is the lucid living message. So the lucid dreaming teaching is a teaching around lucid dreaming. And that's what I was talking about, where you can pull a card and then get some information about lucid dreaming in a fun, nonlinear way. And then the lucid living message is what you'd find in a more traditional oracle deck, where it's giving your guidance for your daily life, for your understanding of maybe you have a question about something, or maybe you just want an inquiry into what's up for you right now. So that's the lucid living message. So first talking about the lucid dreaming teaching with the mother of dreaming, that is about seeking out. So there's things that you can do, especially as you're able to have lucid dreams and sustain them more. Then you get to this place where you're able to start entering into some of the more advanced practices. And this one is about seeking out this mothering energy within the dream time. So an example from my dream that's in this book too is that once I was able to have a lot of lucid dreams and really sustain them, I wanted more transformational and transcendent experiences. And I read in Tibetan dream yoga, there's the practice of seeking out the clear light and really trying to enter into this space of pure consciousness. I was reading that before I went to bed and I said, something in that feels like there's an element of this mothering energy too. I wonder what it would be like to seek out that in the dream time. And so I became lucid in my dream once I went to sleep. And I remembered that intention. I brought that intention through. And then I called out, I'm like, please, mother of dreaming. That's the word that came to me. Please show yourself to me. Show yourself to me. I flew into a field and I was flying around the statue that was a meditating woman, like on the card. And I was like, but that's just a statue. Is that really her? Exactly. And then this voice resounded throughout my body, in my head, everywhere around me that was like, yes, it's me. And as I flew around, then she said, my presence is with you now in the dream realms, and you can carry this into waking reality too. And if you have questions, you can tap into this conversation between me and you now that you've found me in the lucid dream realms. So that is an example of how we can set this clear
Mm.
intention of a really transformational thing that we want to experience in the lucid dream realms. And because lucid dreaming feels as real as waking reality, it is a true lived experience of having encountered this really powerful, beautiful energy. So that is the lucid dreaming teaching, is you can set a clear intention. And this is an example of a type of intention you could set. And then go to the mother of dreaming, ask her what's on your heart, see what messages you receive. And it's so powerful.
It's a great example of the I-thou relationship that really
Yeah.
met in a very real way. It's a real encounter. You really meet
Mm.
a being that then is your
Mhm.
guide and teacher. And so it has a lucid living application too. And it's about being very conscious of our choices and using both our intellect and our intuition to plan strategies to achieve your goals. She's meticulous in noticing the needs of those around her, and she meets those needs in precise detail. And yet she's also a realist and does not allow emotions to cloud her judgment. She thinks with her head and her heart. The mother of dreaming will be a lighthouse that guides you back on track. So I could go on reading it, but it's a beautiful message about knowing that you have this link within you with a nurturing yet very intelligent consciousness that helps you to get very clear and precise on your choices and to be a nurturing presence for others, but also to be choosing things strategically that will be for your highest good and health. Anything else you want to say about that, Nisha?
Yeah, I think that was a great summary of the lucid living message, and really as you can hear, in tapping into these energies in the dream time, in
Mm.
lucid dreaming or regular dreaming, then you can carry that through in your waking reality. So when you experience firsthand what it's like to be in the presence of this mothering, nurturing, yet very vast and intellectual presence in the dream time, then you can embody that in yourself in waking reality and approach the daily dilemmas and situations from that space that might be different than how you're acting ordinarily, because it's giving you a taste of a totally different energy that, again, is living inside of you. Like you so really intelligently pointed out, this is all happening inside of ourselves. And so those
Mhm.
energies, those powers are in us all the time. And just to be able to tap into it through lucid dreaming and through dreaming.
And Kelly, you drew this card. You drew this card. And as I'm sitting here, I can feel that energy of the mother of dreaming as I'm looking at you. I think Nisha would
Mm.
agree with me that, you embody this kind of very intelligent, but very grounded, nurturing presence. So anyway, I think it's a very,
Oh, wow.
very fitting card that you drew.
Thank you so much. There's such, I mean, I feel altered being in your presence and hearing both of you talk about these different aspects. And it feels simultaneously grounding, yet completely uplifting and energizing. And I want to say even confidence building, like, wow, this is what a superpower to have access to. So, and this is also, I mean, like you said, Nisha, there's a lot of books that have been written on lucid dreaming, but you're bringing into this something that, like, unique experiences. I mean, yes, some of the basic tenets of lucid dreaming, but so much of the content here are some of the things that you've accessed that not everybody has. So there's unique pathways here that you provide that are really, they've got your signature on it. I just want to say, as a little kind of synchronicity, you talked about the Tibetan dreaming. What did you
Dream yoga, yeah. Mhm.
Dream yoga? So years ago, somebody reached out to me and asked me if I knew anything about Tibetan dream yoga, and I was about to say nope, bye bye, but I thought I would do a little research, and I did some, and I found out about this practice called tendril. Have
Mm,
you heard of this? It's kind of like this connecting vine, like a tendril vine. It's like a
mm,
connecting vine between life and death,
mhm,
and then what's liminal and subliminal, dreaming and awake, and the synchronicity around that. I write about this in the book that I just put out, and it's one of the stories that is the most heartbreaking, but also on the other side of it, inspirational. Ultimately, I had a child I was adopting, so I was going to be the mother of this Tibetan little baby who at 6 months old died the day before we were going to have her. It was very, very tragic. Her name was Tendril.
Oh,
And yeah, and so I was going to be the mother of Tendril. Anyway, it the her passing was so tragic and traumatic, and I write about it. It's for the first time in my book, A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste. So if anybody wants that story, they can check that out. But I'll just kind of fast forward to the healing that came to me, because none of my spiritual tools worked for me during that time. It was like one of those moments of such great despair, because all the tools I'd been accumulating for a lifetime couldn't touch my pain. But Viktor Frankl strangely came to my rescue. I talk about him a lot because that the work of being able to overcome such a, like, the Holocaust, like there's almost nothing that can compare to that kind of trauma. I mean, Native American, like, just there's so many things that are on that level. To be able to come to peace and empowerment after something like that, I had a lot of respect. Anyway, he said the story that we tell ourselves is often what hurts us more than the thing that actually happens. So if we're feeling disempowered, it's because, like, consider that it's the story, the dream that we're evoking for ourselves. So consider changing the story. So I made up a story that this baby, instead of that, all the disempowering stories I was telling myself, that there's no God, or if there was a God, it was cruel. I don't want to be on a planet where there's such cruelty. The new story I made up is this child was an angel, and I got to know an angel for 2 weeks, and I get to stay connected to this angel who is a tendril connecting me to the other side. So that, like, lifted me up, making up that story. So it was about a week later that this person asked me about, do you know any Tibetan dream practices, or about, and I said no, but then I looked in, and then I found that tendril was one of these practices. So it was like, so the moment you talked about the mother and the Tibetan aspect of this, I immediately felt the presence of this powerful, no longer a little being. She's like a massive being. So I feel like there's a lot of that here. So I don't know if this is what people should do, but I'm going to suggest that we also look into our own synchronistic connections to these cards and the stories they evoke. So that's what came up for
that's
me.
marvelous as an example of synchronicity. Synchronicities happen to show us that we're on the right path, right? So that
Yeah.
synchronicity that's right here, it says, the Tibetan Buddhism is linked with the
Yeah.
mothering. And that's
Right.
amazing how it brought that up for you. And
Yeah.
amazing because Nisha and I wrote this, and yet when we use it each day and draw a card for ourselves, it's magical for us even. And we're kind of blown away
Right.
by that, that there's magic in this book and in the cards that is working. And I just wanted to say another thing about the story that you told, the pathway of shamanic initiation, Buddhist initiation, especially Tibetan Buddhism is a shamanic Buddhist pathway, right? The pathway is that we get a calling that has a beauty and a positiveness in it, but it's also linked with a shadow. The calling is always linked with some shadow that we're going to have to grapple with and be willing to get the gift out of. So that's the journey that we're
Yes.
called to go on. And it takes us to a
Yeah.
place that they call dismemberment, where we
Yes.
can't
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
do our typical rational thinking to solve it, or nothing that we've tried works. And so we have to
Right.
trust into that all the way to the depths where we encounter this completely changing of ourselves and minds and identity encounter, which is what that did to you. And we come out the other
Yes.
side of that with a change in
Yeah.
perspective,
Yeah.
a new story, a different way of seeing it and speaking it. And then we celebrate that with the world by sharing that whole experience of the calling, the depths of the pain and the change that was achieved. And this is my new perspective world. And so that's what we teach, this pathway. This is the pathway of the dream time. This is a transformational pathway, and we take people step by step with their particular dream through this transformational process. So I think it's in the zeitgeist of our times, right, that people are needing this. Humans are
Hmm.
really needing, it's not superficial, it's not a spiritual bypass. When we
The
go into the
opposite.
deep dream time, we have to be willing to grapple with the shadow and really know how to get the gift. Like a lot of people like to talk about the shadow nowadays, but they don't necessarily know how to work with it to really transmute it and get the gift. So that's what we're teaching.
Yeah, and
Oh,
listening to that too. I feel like a lot of times people are called to lucid dreaming because of the positive side, right? The excitement, the empowerment, but also the shadow can call via nightmares, via recurring nightmares, via sleep paralysis, all of these things around the dream time where the fear is held, where the shadow is held, right? And so that's a big
mm,
thing that we teach about too, is how to lucidly encounter and work with nightmares to be able to do this whole technique of rewriting the nightmare with a lucid dream, to deal with sleep paralysis, to deal with these different situations. And I would say my calling to lucid dreaming too, and this ties into the
Mhm.
dream yoga Tibetan Book of the Dead as well, was I had at age 26, I had this experience of saying, and when I die, and then all of a sudden, instead of just a regular time, we say that a lot, right? I had a
right.
visceral, it was like going through a veil and realizing the weight of that reality that someday I will not be in this body, I'll be somewhere else that is unknown, that is less linear than it is here, that is the great mystery, right? And so through that, it sent me into a bit of an existential crisis where I was at night
Yeah.
spending sleepless nights thinking about and pondering and deeply feeling into that reality. And what it brought me through to was realizing, okay, well, every night I'm going into this space that is not in my physical body. I'm going into this space that is non-ordinary reality. So if I can bring lucidity, if I can bring consciousness into that space, awareness into that space, then I'm going to be preparing myself for that ultimate transition, which is what dream yoga is really about, is working with lucid dreaming to be able to understand how to navigate the bardos, the liminal realms lucidly. And then the Tibetan Book of the Dead too was a big major element that came to me that really helped me through this journey of grappling with all of it and understanding how to recognize the things that our minds create, right? To trap us in fear, to trap us in these bardos, and how to see beyond that into this clear light, into this lucid realization of what we truly are. And so that, there's so many synchronicities in what we're talking about, but really that calling into lucid dreaming, for me at least, was this deep one about understanding how to bring conscious awareness into the dream time so that then as we make a passageway, our ultimate journey out of this body into the deepest dream time we can go to, we can do it with lucidity.
Oh my God. So for anyone who's listening and not able to watch, what I'm seeing are these bright eyes looking at me. I mean, in this conversation, I'm like blinded by the brilliance, by the light. I mean, this is what you're talking about is I think this is what we seek when we do drugs, when we get drunk, when we want to make millions of dollars, when we want to, all this stuff is to get to this place that we're in right this minute, and this place where we can go from here when we're dreaming and when I mean, I think this is it. This is it. And, and to the thought about the difficulties, like you said, this is a time, we're living in a time that is fraught with difficulty. I mean, there's an election coming up. There's wars on this planet that are just unfathomable, and people that aren't suffering those things, they see it happening to other people, and their own version of their own stress, their existential crises are happening. But if we and it's almost like we're trying to keep the white picket fence alive. We're trying to keep that good dream that like it's supposed to be happy and good and just right, and it's not. We're like shaking as we hold on to it. But there's a dismemberment that's happening to initiate all of us. Like if I would have never in a million years entered into that knowing of this baby and thinking, oh, and then she's going to die, and I'm going to want to die, and everything's going to just, all the good things are going to turn to dust. Like, yeah, I'm going to sign up for that. No part of my consciousness. I had this white picket fence vision of what would happen once I had this baby. I was a day away. It was on Valentine's Day. It was like, it was just, oh my God. But in that, I mean, on the other side of the dismemberment of that, there is such a very strange and beautiful empowerment, because it's kind of like, okay, I survived that. And I didn't just survive it. I feel like I found life, I found meaning, I found juiciness, I found like there's a whole life on the other side of it. And it doesn't mean that I'm not afraid of other things. It doesn't mean that I'm like a complete badass, because I'm not. I'll cry and scream and run as fast as anybody. But I can't deny that there's a part of me that feels like I can live now. I can live without the fear of the other shoe dropping. The other shoe dropped. And here I am. And life is good. So this is the conversation. This is what I want people to know. I assert that if you get lucid dreaming and lucid living, you're going to pull cards every day and pull it with somebody that you love, that you want to deepen your relationship with, and have a conversation about. It's not just pull the card, read it, put it down, do whatever you do, but like pull it and see what opens up. Because like you and we all just met, and here we are. I feel like you're my best friends.
Right,
I
having such
trust
a deep
you.
conversation. Yeah. I loved what you were saying about the combination of groundedness and
Yes.
going into extremely new places that we're headed in
Yes.
the age of Aquarius that's just coming, right? So
Yeah.
interesting that Pluto came in with Aquarius, which means, we are going to be going through big deconstructions and death. So what you just said a minute ago about what the dream of the baby
Yeah.
took you into was a deconstruction of all of your ideas about how that could come about. So that has to happen. These practices, Tibetan dream yoga, ancient shamanic practices, are about being willing to die before we die. So every night
Yes.
when we go into the dream time, like Nisha said, we're willing, if we go in there and are willing to have consciousness there and remember our dreams, we're willing to let go of our preconceived concepts or things that we're clinging on to, that they have to be this way, and let go of them and learn and transform into a bigger consciousness. And so I think that's why people are so hungry right now for psychedelics. And we like to tell people, but you've got this cosmos within you. Yes, psychedelics can help to give you a bigger vision, but we have got
Yes. Yeah.
capacity within our own natural abilities to experience this deep dive, letting go, encountering things that will deconstruct us, and we're safe. And Nisha and I are big on telling people, you don't have to be afraid of your nightmares, of the dream time. We are truly safe there. And we can learn how to encounter the difficult things. Like Nisha has a whole nightmare rewrite technique in the book. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Give us
so
a little taste of that. I mean, even just the little thing that you shared about the tiger, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, power animal. Like, oh, even that
Yes.
rewrite. It's not like there's
Right.
a tiger under your bed. You can't sleep here now. Okay.
Exactly.
Agree.
Right. I love that. And yeah, it's so true that there are elements of the shadow, right, that appear in our dreams that can be very frightening. And the nightmare rewrite technique, there's a few ways to do it, but one way is that you wake up from a nightmare and then you are lucidly going back in, and you don't have to be an expert dreamer to be able to do this, because as you know, when you wake up from a nightmare, it's playing in your head over and over and over again. You almost cannot escape it, right? So the dream
Right.
time is right there present with you. Whereas with a regular dream, you might forget it, it might fade away. So I talk about this as a gift of nightmares, is that they are so present with us and they do bring us in direct contact with that dream state and with the shadow element that's being held in there. So rather than trying to forget it, trying to run away from it, trying to escape it, you use that power of the nightmare to be able to go back into the moment that is the most frightful. But going back into it, realizing one, you cannot be harmed in the dream realm, right? You're having your power. You know it was a
Mm.
dream. You know that there is not death of this physical body in the dream time. And so you are safe, you are held. You call on your ally, as my mom talked about. There is, if it's like from the example of the mother of dreaming, you can call and summon the power and energy of the mother of dreaming to be with you in that nightmare. And then together you work to see past the dualism that is present in the nightmare. So a specific example is that I had a nightmare that we have in this book too, where there was a guy and it was at a gas station. He was a bit of a serial killer type figure, right? And he had
Mm.
hurt this couple and it was really traumatizing. I woke up from it. I went back in. First, what I did, calling on the power of my ally to be there with
Mm.
me, is I
Who was
went.
your ally? Who's your
My
ally?
ally in that dream was like the mother of dreaming, right? It was this
Okay,
very powerful female presence that was like, we
great.
know we can't be hurt, and we actually are more powerful than the scene even. So let's rewrite it
Yes.
together. So
Okay.
we went in together, and first what I did was I went to the people that had been hurt. And through that lucid presence, I was able to heal their wounds. And really, beyond a physical form, it was like a blue light that was able to cover their
Ooh.
wounds and see beyond what this physical body, is. And then I went to the character, and this is a key part of the nightmare rewrite. You go to the antagonizing force, the bad guy, the monster, and
Mhm.
you can peel away what their external representation is and see beyond that. And so in this particular one, there's different ones that they look like sometimes. I'm not sure if I'm gonna remember this particular one, but I believe it was like a black, just like inky type figure. And I saw that
Oh.
and then I was like, well, what do you want? Like, what do you need? And really then investigating into, once you're beyond seeing the external scary view of it, and it gets minimized and minimized, it came into a smaller and smaller and smaller ball until it was just a tiny little ball that I could hold in my hand and talk to and be like, we don't treat people like that. Like, this is not what we do. And it becomes, rather than this overwhelming, scary force, it becomes this manageable force. And whether you want to look at it like something bigger than ourselves, or even a part of ourselves that we're talking to, or even a past trauma that we're addressing, right? We're not seeing it as this overwhelming thing anymore, but we're able to manage it with this lucid awareness and consciousness. And that's an element I
Mm.
wanted to talk about with lucid dreaming too, which I love,
Yeah.
is that there's different ways to look at it and approach it. So if the esoteric side of things is, turns people off, or like, I'm not into that woo-woo stuff. Okay, look at it from a psychological lens then. Look at it from
Right.
they're all parts of yourself that you're working with and you're healing through. Or if you want to look at it from a scientific point of view too, lucid dreaming is amazing because we're able to do something that before scientifically was believed to be impossible, which is bring back online that questioning part of our brains, bring back online that lucid awareness within the dream to actually realize it's a dream while we're there. And so that is really an element, a key element too, of if lucid dreaming is interesting to you, feel free to approach it in any way because they're all valid and they're all so beautiful.
Scientific, psychological, spiritual.
And
What
I
happened
imagine
at the
even
end?
physical
Yeah,
ultimately, because
even
if you deal
physical.
with those, then it can't not affect the physical as well. What were you going to say, Norma?
Yeah, Nisha, what happened at the very end when you did transmute that dualistic presence in that dream.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, that dream was a really powerful one too, for exactly what we're doing here now, is
Yeah.
then it was that we shone a light on everything once that dualistic view was healed, and I was able to, because it was like, I forgot to mention this, but in the beginning, it was like I was watching a movie of it happening.
Hmm.
And so then in
Hmm.
the end, through rewriting that scene, it became
Yeah.
into the movie again, and we shone a light out, and it shone through all the TV screens in the whole world, and it was
Ooh.
able to illuminate the truth of this teaching and of this message, that through healing ourselves internally with lucid dreaming, with dream work in general, with rewriting our nightmares and going deep into being able to work with our traumas, and in the waking reality too, as my mom does with her counseling practice and with shadow work, then we are shining this light out that is going to have tremendous ripple effects to the whole world. And Kelly, like you're talking about, we're in a time right
Mm.
now where there's so much hurt and so much hard things going on in the world. So as we individually work with our dreams, work with lucid dreaming, work
Yeah.
with being able to heal our shadow patterns and traumas, we are the lights that are then broadcasting out to everyone else.
And it will be
Oh,
changing consciousness on our planet.
yeah.
Remain, I was saying a few minutes ago, remaining stable. Like that's part of what the teachings are in this book too, how to stabilize yourself in your ordinary reality so that you're healing your traumas and not so afraid of them,
Mm.
and
Mm.
stabilize yourself in lucid states so that then in that stable, grounded situation, like you see in the Mother of Dreaming cards, sitting there in that still presence of love, then you're able to expand into, you know, realms that we have not yet been, into non-dualistic realizations beyond our paradoxical, you know, reality that we've got right now. I think the paradoxes, the stuck places are
Mm.
just solidifying in our world right now, so that we face, like Jung talked about, the impossible situations that we can't get through with our old ways, our old
Oh.
thinking. And we are going to be breaking through into this consciousness that's beyond. That's where we need to go as a human race. So back to what you were saying, Nisha, each one of us are called right now to do our healing, right? And our go into our dream time, do our own individual destiny path calling, because we are here. We're the ones that are here right now for these times. And we are going to be able to break through together into a whole more beautiful place than we have yet imagined.
Oh, oh my God, this is so good. I knew this was going to be fun and deep dish, but I had no idea that it was going to be this juicy. And I don't want this hour to end on a parallel plane in the dreaming. Let's just please continue. Let's do this all the time. And I would love for you all to come back. I want to highlight one of the things that you just said, Norma, about stabilizing, like that to me, maybe in the past wouldn't be a sexy word, probably the opposite. But now, in this moment, it's like, oh, yes, that's what it's about, being able to stabilize, remain stable. I mean, I know some people, and myself included, the moment I would become aware of, oh my God, I'm lucid, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so lucid. And then poof, gone.
Right,
Like,
right.
oh man, like too excited or too freaked out, like to be able to stay stable. In other words, it feels like mature and connected. The only way I can be stable is to be connected to the earth, connected to that mother of dreaming energy.
Mhm.
Then I can walk through this world and watch things go by and remain stable. So I think that if I wanted there to be at least one, like, how do you lucid dream? Maybe I don't know if you all, we have like just a minute or two right now, but besides the stabilizing and besides picking a card and picking another card, I don't know if you had a chance to pick a card yet, but
Yeah,
You know,
as you
I
were
want to do 20
talking,
things in 1 minute, but I'll hand it
I
over to
was
you,
just
whatever you want
going
to say.
through the cards because what I love is what you just, the word you hit on, stabilizing, right? And how it is a common issue for lucid dreamers of being able to maintain consciousness to stabilize the dream. So we have a whole section of cards that have this white background that are all about doing state checks in waking reality, which is checking what reality you're in, which is a key element of lucid dreaming, having lucid dreams, and then stabilizing the lucid dreams. And so I will briefly talk about that. I know we don't
Yes,
have too
please.
much time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
let's do these two cards really quick. So
Perfect.
the first one is the questioning mind. And that really is what you're doing when you're doing state checks throughout the day, which a state check
Hmm.
is an action you perform while you're awake to check if you could be dreaming or not. And you invoke the questioning mind of truly wondering, could I be dreaming earnestly, right? Because in our dreams, we also don't question if we're dreaming or not. Even if there's a pink elephant in the room, we're like, no, this is normal. Only when we wake
I,
up, realize we were dreaming. So you're bringing yourself into presence throughout the day and checking what state of consciousness you're in. And beyond even lucid dreaming, you're just bringing yourself into an awareness of a reality that we're currently in, waking reality.
hmm
And
hmm
then when you do that enough while you're awake, you're training your mind to do it while you're asleep. And eventually you do perform a state check, like flipping your hands back and forth. And when you do it
hmm
in a dream, your hands are not going to stay the same as they do in waking reality. I've had an extra finger grow, I've had them turn into lobster claws, all sorts of things. Once you perform that state check, then you know beyond a doubt that you are dreaming and you become lucid. So the first thing is developing this question.
Guys there.
Is for
Oh my
lucid
goodness.
dreaming, where you're able to pull your awareness through a waking state into the dream. But beyond that, the lucid living message too is about being able to have this constant awareness in your waking reality of what you're doing, where you're at, being present. Because I don't know, many people have had the experience you're driving your car and then all of a sudden you are at your destination. You're like, how did I get here? Where was I? I don't remember driving, I don't
Right,
remember everything, right? We spend a
right.
lot of our time not being fully conscious with where we are, which is fine to daydream. And yet, bringing this practice of stabilizing our ordinary reality and maintaining awareness within it is
Staying awake.
staying awake in all realms, right? Being awake in the dream and being awake in our waking reality life, too.
Oh, this is so good. Were you going to say something, Norma?
That was the card that I drew this morning before our talk.
Ah,
I drew the card
yeah.
awake. Can you find it? Yeah.
Ah,
I drew that card. So
oh,
I'm experiencing the synchronicity of this moment.
oh,
Where, and
interesting.
it was saying that we we think about enlightenment being so far off, but really it's
Right.
within us. It is already within us. It's right close, but we just have to wake up to it, you know? So
Right. Oh, that's good.
it says the awake card number 22 says the dreamer has fully awakened from the dream. No longer trapped in the cycles of delusion, she sees ultimate reality for the first time. Recognizing the nature of all things, she floats peacefully in the full radiance of clear light. So there's a
Oh,
reward for doing this work, you know, and it is coming into that clear light and that type of peace that we're talking about, that stability and peace, equanimity. And we all want that, you know, so doing
yeah.
this work actively does bring us there.
Yeah. And to even not hate on the part that falls asleep, but
Mm.
I think when I love that part too,
Right.
it seems like there's not as much polarity. It's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna fall asleep sometimes. I'm gonna forget how I got to my destination, but I want to practice, build the muscle. I think one of the best ways, maybe the best one today for sure, to build that awake muscle is to get this deck, lucid
Mhm.
dreaming, lucid living, and then once you get it, pull these cards with somebody you love or on your own. And I love the fact that you cover both ends of the spectrum, the lucid living and the lucid dreaming, so that we can just be, what if we just were lucid, period, you know, all the time. Well, Norma and Nisha, I am so grateful for this incredibly empowering, deep and soulful and grounding conversation about lucid dreams and lucid living. Best way that people can get a hold of you all for private work, for whatever it is that you guys have coming up.
Yeah.
Give us a minute about
Yeah.
what those things are.
So if you go to our website, Lucid Dreaming, lucidliving.com, there you can reach out to us through the contact form. You can also find, we have a bundle that is the Dream Alchemy bundle that is a nice introduction to both having a morning practice and a nighttime practice to start your lucid dreaming journey. And that's free online on our website. So that's a great way to get started, just learning more about us even before you get the deck. And then also we have a YouTube channel that we're regularly posting on. If you want more bite-sized tips about how to lucid dream, about how to start your journey, our Instagram as well. We post there very regularly so that you can continue to get these juicy little morsels. And then the deck will give you a deep dive into lucid dreaming as well. And we're getting ready to launch 2 classes as well. The first one is it's a Dream 101. It's called the Dream Seeker. And that's really, if you're starting off in your dream journey, helping you know how to remember your dreams, how to write down your dreams, how to share your dreams, different practices from various places around the world around dreaming and outlooks on dreaming. And then we're going to launch a masterclass, a lucid dreaming masterclass, which is a deep, deep dive into lucid dreaming and into all the skills of it, a deeper explanation of nightmare rewrite, how to work with the shadow and the dreams, how to do these advanced practices once you are able to become lucid of encountering these various energies. So those are just some ways to start touching in with us more and really learning more. And of course, we're always, answering the comments and answering emails. So just reach out to us that way too. So if you want to know any questions.
Everything's under Lucid Dreaming, Lucid Living.
Yes.
No, the website,
YouTube,
the YouTube,
Instagram, all of it.
That's amazing. Oh my God, that's perfect. Thank you so much, both of you. I can't tell you how full and rich and uplifted I feel from this conversation. So energized. And I have dream conversations all the time, and this was very, very special. I'm loving your deck. Thank you so much for taking this time to be with me. I know this is not our last. We will be, yeah, this is going to happen again. And so just be prepared.
We're ready. It's been such a joy talking
Yes,
to you.
really great to get to know you.
Thank you so much, you both, Nisha and Norma Burton. All right. Lucid Dreaming, lucidliving.com, everything. All right. Sweet dreams, you guys. Bye.
Thank you, Kelly. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Calling Dr. Dream, the Kelly Sullivan Walden Dreamifesting podcast. If this episode awakened you to the power of your dreams, take a moment to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with your dreaming friends. I'd so appreciate that. Ready to make your dream life your real life? Pre-order the Dreamifesting book at your favorite bookstore, then float on over to dreamifesting.com. That's dreamifesting.com to receive your free Dreamifesting bedtime meditation. Want to hang out with me live? Join the Dreamifesting recording sessions most Wednesdays at noon Pacific on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube Live. If you have a question about your dreams, email me at kelly@kellysullivanwalden.com. This is also where you can drop me a voice memo. I love hearing from you, but please keep your audio messages to a minute so I can play them on air. Until next time, remember, the more you dream, the better you live. The better you live, the more you lift us all. So keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep dreamifesting. Sweet dreams.